When you think about a sporty German coupe, usually the letter M will pop into your head. But while BMW was busy downsizing, Mercedes was hard at work trying to build a muscle car. This is the C63 AMG S.
So let's talk interior. Inside the C63S, first thing you get is leather everything. Absolutely pretty much everything in this interior is wrapped in leather. And that is very cool. You even have leather up here in the dash, and it's a matte finish which makes sun glare a thing of the past. And that is very motorsportsy. The other thing that's very motorsportsy is the steering wheel. It's nice and beefy. It's very adjustable, so you can position it well, and it has a flat bottom so it doesn't disturb your knees. You also get a lot of carbon fiber here in the center console. Not that it does much, because this thing weighs a little over 4,000 pounds. Controls for the infotainment and the climate control are here in the middle. Everything is a physical button, which is really nice. Now here's the thing. The climate control buttons are these very nice gray plastic that kind of feels like aluminum, and the switches are very tactile, so it makes it feel like it's very high quality. But then you look one row below and you have these black buttons you can press that are not the most tactile in the world. They look kind of out of place, and I feel like it wouldn't have been that expensive to add that little row of silver buttons there. Also, the buttons are down here, but everything they do is up in the infotainment. So when you're looking at which button you're pressing, which they're all really uniform, you have to look at which button you want to press it, and then look back up at the screen to see what you're actually doing. I feel like it would have been nice if you would have just had a small LCD down here that showed you what you're doing with the climate control and the radio. What is really cool about this center console though is that you have a nice analog watch. Not that you're going to be looking at it when you're driving, but it is a cool touch. This carbon fiber console looks really cool, even though there's no weight savings to be had with it. It does look very nice. It makes this look a lot more high-end. And these panels on the doors, which are aluminum, are very, very luxurious looking. You also have the classic Mercedes seat controls on the doors. You have heated seats and all the adjustability just right here. These speakers look very exotic, and something that's kind of stupid but is one of my favorite features is this triple vents right here, which might remind you of interiors of a little company that starts with a P and is in Italy. These seats are very comfortable. I think I might prefer them to the sport bucket seats that you can get in these. Even though those look way cooler, these are very comfortable, and I feel like the way this car is meant to be driven doesn't conduce to having such grippy seats. These are more than fine enough. They are ventilated and heated, and they have a really, really, really nice accommodation for all body types. You also have a huge sunroof, which is nice because it lets light in here and makes the whole cabin feel a little bit roomier. Even though it's not the biggest car inside here, I do hit my knees on the door and the center console when I'm driving. But overall, it is very comfortable. The other party piece of this thing is the interior lighting. You have RGB lighting in a few places, which makes it feel like a bit of a party when you're driving at night. You also have back seats. Not that they're super usable. They are not the biggest back seats in the world. You can use them in a pinch, but they're not meant for long road trips with friends. One of the cooler things that Mercedes does with their AMG products is that their engines are hand built. They usually have this little plaque right here that is signed by the technician who built it in Germany. It is a very cool touch that Mercedes does, and nobody else in the industry is really doing. This specific car is not just a C63S. It's the C63s Coupe, which means it's the two-door version. And even though this doesn't have as much room in the back seats, what it does have is a lot of room in the trunk. Now, For the life of me, I've been looking around in the back of this car and I really haven't been able to find the trunk release button, which means it's a situation of either you open it up from the driver's door when you get out, or you open it up from the key fob, which you have right here. Simply hold the button and the trunk pops open. Now, this might seem really minor, but me having a Supra, which is the same situation, it kind of has become a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. I feel like when you're doing shopping and you want to put stuff in the trunk, if your hands are occupied, having to look in your pockets to grab the key fob and open it up, it's kind of a hassle and it gets old really quick. But that's all about the negative. The positive side of the trunk is just that it is huge. It has a huge opening, can fit a lot of stuff, and that makes this car very practical if you're not carrying rear passengers. Oh, and if you manage to leave the trunk open and don't want to walk back because you're lazy, you just hold the same trunk button and it closes for you, and that is really cool.
So everything is good with the interior. The car looks good, it has great build quality, and it is surprisingly practical. But none of that matters if it doesn't drive good. So let's take a look.
First thing I can tell you is you put everything in comfort mode, it is a very comfortable car. Mercedes are usually very comfortable, and this is no exception. It has not the plushest ride in the world. It is firm, but it is not punishing at all. The sound with the exhaust closed is not bad at all. It has this very deep, low grumble to it that gives it kind of a little bit of character, and it's nice. There is a little bit of road noise coming through, and that is probably because there is a lot of solid mounting that the normal C-Series doesn't have. The steering is very light. There's not any feel at all that I can tell on it, which is kind of a disappointment considering that this being an AMG product, you expect to have a little bit more engagement than in normal Mercedes. But overall, it's not bad. It is very light and easy to use. The car has great visibility and these seats are super comfy. And overall, it is a very nice experience. It does, however, have some compromises. For example, the 7-speed transmission that comes in this car is an automatic, which you would probably equate with me saying it has a slush box, which it kind of does, but it uses a clutch instead of a torque converter to take off from a standstill, which means that if I let go of the gas, it doesn't roll forward. I have to press the gas and let it rev, and then the clutch engages and pulls me forward, which is a little bit of a weird thing to get used to. Once you do, it is not really a hassle at all. The car drives really well. You can definitely feel the upshifts very solid, like a pat in the back from a good friend rather than a kick from a mule. See, I'm cruising down this little back road here, no problem. Seat is super comfortable, everything is super comfy, but if I press this little button here and this one and downshift a couple gears, you probably can't hear it because the sound deadening in here is not bad at all, but listen to this. That, my friends, is 503 horsepower, and it sounds nasty. These AMG V8s just have, I don't know what it is, but they have an amazing character to them. It has this like very industrial machine-like sound that just you don't get on other V8s. It's very muted inside, but it just sounds incredible. And those burps and upshifts are addictive. Let's give it a little other go. Woo! Got a little bit of wheel spin there. This thing is such a monster when you get on the gas. It is crazy. It also has this feel like that of a muscle car more than sports car. That's why I don't like comparing this car that much to the BMW M4, because the M4 is more like a scalpel and this thing is more of a hammer. Wow. It has a lot of torque, and all of it is available from under 2000 RPM, which means that it has some crazy response when you hit the pedal. You can come through traffic almost like this thing is a Porsche, because it fits everywhere. It's not really a big car at all. And when you take some corners, it is very, very planted. But that is also because of the weight. This thing weighs a little over 4,000 pounds. And that is a lot, considering it tries to compete with the BMW M4, which is about a quarter ton more light than this car. That is a huge difference. This also has the power to compensate for a weight, but ultimately it doesn't feel too happy when it's changing direction quickly. It feels happier when you're in a straight line or taking big sweepers. What you can do, that we're not going to do in this car because it's not mine, and also it is cold outside, is use the power to slide around, and it is very fun. The rest of the time you can just open up the exhaust, leave it on manual mode, and have this very deep bassy rumble. Always sounds so good. It is very much a German muscle car. That is the best way I can describe this thing. It's like someone took a Hellcat and put it through school, and now it can read.
I have enjoyed my time with the C63S. It is a very nice car. It drives really well. It is very comfortable. It has looks to die for. The interior is incredible. It has great power. It is surprisingly comfortable, and the seats are incredible. However, I am a little bit confused. The car is not sporty enough because Mercedes still wanted to keep that luxurious steering. And it's not comfortable enough because you get all the noise, vibration, and harshness from a tighter chassis. So if you're looking for a car that can do both, this is probably it. But in my opinion, I feel like Mercedes would have done good to build something maybe a little bit dumber. Something more akin to a Hellcat, with some class, of course.